Until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. Song of Solomon 4:6. So this particular verse I heard during my last birthday. That verse is an answer for my earlier prayer. I had a question in my mind and God was answering with that verse. So using this particular verse, in the next retreat, I took a class which was for 45 or 50 minutes until the day breathes. What is that? Day is getting over. The night is coming, right? So when my day is over, where will I come? I'll come back to my home, right? That is my sanctuary. So our family should be our sanctuary. That is one dimension I'm saying. Family is the greatest blessing from God, right? So we should keep our family as a sanctuary, or we should keep our home as a sanctuary where the husband or the life partner is respected and loved. I want to give a peaceful existence for my children and my husband. So I choose to forgive. If I don't like, sometimes I'll tell him in a peaceful manner, see, I disagree with you. Even when you're right? Even when you have every reason to be angry with the other person, when you choose to forgive, God's blessing will come to your family. Just imagine about the time Jesus was on this earth. It was very difficult for him. It was not an easy journey for him. First of all, to come down as man, even though he was in the form of God, he did not consider equality with God a thing to be grasped. So during those 3 years, who gave him peace of mind? The people who sacrificed their life for him, right? The apostles who were with him, the good people who were with him, the women disciples who were with him, they left everything. They sacrificed their family. They left everything for him. Until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. Song of Solomon 4:6. So today we are going to meditate on this verse. So this particular verse I heard during my last birthday. So usually I go to Holy Mass in the evening. So if there is any office meeting or any commitment in office, that day I used to go in the morning. So I will attend the morning Mass. So on my birthday, I was attending the Holy Mass and I prayed for some time. I came out and there is a grotto outside our church. So I went there and I was praying there and I heard this verse, Song of Solomon 4:6. Until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. As soon as I heard this, I felt some joy in my heart. There was a great peace in my heart and I left it there. But while traveling back, I really understood that that verse is an answer for my earlier prayer. I had a question in my mind and God was answering with that verse. So immediately everything became so clear. So I was telling this in my previous video also. When God gives me an insight or when He answers me, He usually gives one verse, single verse. He'll speak to me that verse. I hear that. Usually I hear that in my heart when God speaks. It's not in my head. Most of the time I hear it in my heart. And immediately I'll understand the meaning of that. And if I have to speak about that, I can speak for 20-25 minutes about that one single verse and God will not explain me anything. It's just one verse that I hear, but I'll understand everything, right? So using this particular verse, in the next retreat, I took a class which was for 45 or 50 minutes. Just using this one single verse, I spoke for about 45 minutes. I can extend it to 1 hour also. Right? That is how God speaks. This is not the usual thing, right? This is exception, but there are other ways in which God speaks, but this is one way. So this particular verse, I heard it on November 4th. I remember that because it was my birthday and I felt that great joy. It was like a birthday gift. It was an answer to one of my earlier questions. And while coming back, I clearly understood everything and I was able to express that. Sometimes I feel that whatever I understand in my mind, I'm not able to express it with words, right? It's beyond our human expression, right? Sometimes I feel like that. I try to explain that, but I feel that it's something more than that, right? Some certain things you cannot explain also. So this particular verse is one verse like that. So I'll read that again for you. I'll not take a very detailed class. It will take 45 minutes to 1 hour. So I'll just take a very short version. I'll not touch upon what question I had in my mind. I'll not tell all that. I'll just tell one aspect of it, okay? So Song of Solomon 4:6. You can all memorize this. It's a beautiful verse. Until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. So this is the verse, right? Until the day breathes. What is that? The day is getting over. The night is coming, right? Until the day breathes and the shadows flee. So when the day is over, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh. So when my day is over, where will I come? I'll come back to my home, right? That is my sanctuary. I'll come back to my family. That is my sanctuary, right? When the day breathes, during that day, I have a lot of tension. I am outside. I am working, right? I am engaged in so many things. I had a lot of tensions. But when the day breathes, I want to take rest. At that time, where will I come? I come to my family. That is my sanctuary, right? So our family should be our sanctuary. That is one dimension I am saying. When the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to my family. My family is a sanctuary. It should be a heaven. Right? So family is the greatest blessing from God, right? So we should keep our family as a sanctuary, or we should keep our home as a sanctuary, where children are loved, where elderly parents are respected, where they can live in security, where the husband or the life partner is respected and loved, right? We should keep our home as sanctuary. Anything that breaks the sanctity of the life, sanctity of the family, we should remove it. There shouldn't be any fights in our family. Sometimes it's not possible. There can be disagreements. There can be tension. If I disagree with my husband, I always tell there is no fight between us. It's a truth actually. But there are opportunities, right? There are many times we can fight. There are disagreements. But at that time, what I think is, see, this is my family. This is the sanctuary. I want to give a peaceful existence for my children and my husband. So I choose to forgive. If I don't like, sometimes I'll tell him in a peaceful manner, see, I disagree with you, but I don't fight. If I have to forgive, even though it is difficult, I'll forgive. Because I don't want to make my family or lose that sanctity of that family, right? So I choose to forgive. In many cases, we can avoid many fights if we just choose to forgive. But when I tell this, some people say that, see, you have a good husband, good mother-in-law, that's why you're able to say that, right? In my family, this is the situation. Many people told me, my friend told me, when I talked about this in the retreat, a person came and shared his experience and told me, like, it's very difficult. They are all good people. It's very difficult. See my situation, right? But sometimes it's difficult. I understand that. But I've seen many people who choose to forgive in such difficult circumstances, right? And I've seen their family becoming a blessing in the future. Even when you're right? Even when you have every reason to be angry with the other person, when you choose to forgive, because that is God's commandment. God said, completely forgive. God's blessing will come to your family, right? So whenever there is a possibility of fight, choose to forgive. Try out that, right? You will find that your family slowly, sometimes it may take time. Things may not change overnight, right? I've seen many people struggling, right? I talked to a person recently also. He said, I tried to forgive, but those people, I don't see any change in them. The more I forgive, they're trampling on me. Yeah, sometimes we need to persevere. When we walk when we walk that straight path, either today or tomorrow that blessing will come to me. I've seen many people who walk that difficult path and change their life partner by their way of life. I've seen with my own eyes. From my experience I'm talking. I also choose to forgive many times. Not for like grave things, small things. There are small things that can cause fight or tension in family, right? That time I'll keep my mouth shut. When my husband is angry, I'll keep myself very silent. the other way also. When I am in a tense mood, he will also not react. That is how the fights are not happening. Right? So, until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh. So, when my day is over, or when my husband's day is over, he is coming back to the family, and that family should be a sanctuary. So I was talking about this in a retreat, and one girl came and told me, I like that part. I also always try to keep my family as a sanctuary. I have that feeling that my family is a sanctuary, and I always keep like that. And I really like the way you put it, she told me. Right? That is one dimension I'm saying, like just telling from a family's angle. But the actual meaning of this verse is not that. The actual verse is, until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh. This, God is speaking, right? Just imagine about the time Jesus was on this earth. It was very difficult for him. It was not an easy journey for him. First of all, to come down as man, even though he was in the form of God, he did not consider equality with God a thing to be grasped. He came down as man. He took our human nature, which is a lowly nature, right? When we ourselves as humans, if we are accustomed to a particular way of life, we cannot go back to another way of life, right? Which is very down, right? So same way, God is of a higher nature, and he has come down as come down into our lowly nature, like lowly human nature. So it was very difficult for him to leave his father's bosom and come down as man, right? That itself was very difficult for him. He left that peaceful life and came to earth. In a way, little bit it was alleviated because he came to Mother Mary and Saint Joseph. Both were very good people, saintly people, and Mother especially was full of grace. Angel Gabriel said, "Hail Mary, full of grace." Even before becoming the Mother of God, he addressed her like that. "Hail Mary, full of grace." So Mother was full of grace. So during his childhood, it was not as difficult for him because Mother Mary was full of grace. Saint Joseph was a saintly man. So he didn't feel that. But during his 3 years of public ministry, it was very difficult. People called him Beelzebub. He was rejected everywhere, especially in his hometown, right? People tried to stone him, humiliated him. He had to go through a lot of suffering. All those times, all those moments were very difficult for him. And finally, he was crucified. So during those 3 years, who gave him peace of mind? The people who sacrificed their life for him, right? The apostles who were with him, the good people who were with him, the women disciples who were with him, they left everything. They sacrificed their family. They left everything for him, right? So there are a group of people in whom he found comfort, right? They sacrificed everything for the sake of love. Out of love for him, they sacrificed everything. They gave him that consolation, right? What is mountain of myrrh? Until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh. Mountain of myrrh stands for sacrifice. Myrrh stands for suffering, right? So there are a group of people who stood with him in his suffering. They themselves suffered. They sacrificed many things, right? So when the day breathes, when the day is difficult, when he faced a lot of humiliation, when he faced a lot of suffering, he ran to them. He fled to the mountain of myrrh. Mountain of myrrh is a group of people who sacrificed everything for Christ. In today's world, we can say they are the nuns, they are the priests, they are the celibates, they are the normal people who accepted suffering out of love for him. Those normal people who had to go through a lot of suffering still remain faithful to Christ. Their heart, that's a mountain of myrrh. Seeing them, they gave him consolation. They gave him the strength. When he was living in this world, it was his apostles, it was his women disciples, it was his mother, it was a group of good people around him who gave him consolation. Even today, we are persecuting him. From heaven, St. Paul heard a word when he was Saul. Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Right? Even today, we continue to persecute him. And who gave him that consolation? I think it's the nuns, the priests, the people who sacrificed their life out of love for Christ, the people who had gone through suffering, still remained faithful to Christ. All those people gave him consolation, and he is fleeing to them, right? Until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh. Mountain of myrrh. Myrrh stands for suffering. The people who have suffered, God is with them. In their heart, God resides. It is his sanctuary. That heart is his sanctuary. A nun who sacrificed her life for Christ, who remained a true celibate, her heart is a sanctuary. You can find Christ in her, or in that priest who sacrificed everything out of love for Christ. You can see him there. And where else you can see him? In the hill of frankincense. Hill of frankincense. Hill of frankincense is where we offer our worship. Frankincense we use for worship, right? It shows devotion. When I have devotion in my heart, when I have worship in my heart, when I worship that only true God, you can find God in my heart. God resides there. He will be there. So, until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. Yes, you can find Christ in the place of suffering, in the place of sacrifice, in the place of worship. And all these people give him consolation, because today also we persecute him. He asks, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Today also we persecute him. And seeing these people, it's a consolation for him, and he'll run towards them. Until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. God bless you all. Thank you.